Welcome to the Planetary Health Lab podcast. My name is Austin. I'll be your host today. And today we have the pleasure of speaking with Miss Venus Adams. So, Venus, can we start off by telling us a little bit about yourself, your background, and your story? Love to hear all about it.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I think I'll start with my story where I was inspired to be a fashion designer, I think about around age 5. And I was obsessed with having new socks every Sunday to attend church. And my mother was so sick of it, she figured out a way for me to earn money at home and have an allowance. So weekly, I got my allowance. And what I would do is buy new Barbie doll clothes and new socks. So eventually, there were no more new styles for Barbie. I had Barbie lingerie, I had Barbie accessories, I had Barbie wigs. And I was like, oh my God, we've run out of outfits for Barbie. So I took the tops of the socks and I only wanted white, sparkling, clean white socks every Sunday for church to wear my shoes, right? So I took the tops off the socks and I cut them and I made these like little bandeau tops. And I made what we used to call gauchos back in the day. They're like these little capri pants. Then I was making like bracelets out of it. I was making headbands out of them. So I feel like Barbie had a lot of places to go. So that's what we would call lifestyle, right? Back then, right now, what we call it. And I was like, she doesn't have enough clothes to wear to work. She has to go to school. And then what happens when she goes to the restaurant? And there just wasn't enough Barbie clothes. And I was obsessed also with Barbie lingerie. So I learned how to make little lingerie pieces out of the socks. And I think that was my first look or inspiration for fashion. And I think fast forwarding, I always dressed everyone in the family. I go shopping for you and buy everything and then help you put it together. And like, what did you want to look like? I was that little person. And then one of the other things that inspired me, my grandmother actually taught me how to hand stitch. So the way I was very confident in making these Barbie clothes because I would watch my grandmother make curtains and clothing, in her den. Like, my grandmother loved changing furniture and curtains. So we had this huge window and there was never curtains enough size for it unless it was customized. So we would shop for fabrics for this huge patio window. And then I'd be like, I want Venus put on the back of my jacket, do all this stuff. And I watch her make quilts. So everything was repurposed, reusable, recyclable. We never had, the way we have waste now. We did not have a lot of that growing up because my grandmother utilized all the old clothes, old blankets and towels and things like that. And we would cut into these squares and you would stuff the insides of the blankets she would flatten out the clothes and trim them apart. And that's how you stayed warm, right? And then the encasing around the sides. So I would watch her make these all the time. And she's always like, we have everything we need. And I guess fast forwarding to, I don't know, when I went to college, I was very into computers. You can't tell now, but I was totally a tech girl. And I loved computers and everything about them. Didn't really see, no one told me I was a fashion designer. Like, didn't really see myself as that. And I bumped into some girls at my first retail job, and they were all in fashion school, and I would manage and merchandise the store. And they were like, you're really good at this, right? This is how I ended up in fashion school for being a computer science business major. And I think I went to 3 universities before fashion school. And so I got a degree in fashion merchandising, which is business and fashion, and went into the fashion industry working for IFA in New York, was like the top Italian showroom, Roberto Ferretti. And I always wanted my own business. And I was very into wanting to start this business, but really afraid. So I worked for other companies, Ralph Lauren, Neiman Marcus, Bloomingdale's, and doing merchandising, sales, buying. And I had never been on the other side. Like I said, I never looked at myself as a fashion designer. So one day I was like, I think I want to make something. I was into cruise wear is what we used to call it, was loungy clothes for vacation. And, we were about to hit a recession. And I was like, what is it that people buy even in recession? And I came up with accessories because you have like, it's not the one Chuck buck, but it kind of is anything under $25, your impulse purchases for people. So I scrapped the collection of clothes and a friend bought me this vintage turban and I had hair extensions and the hair extensions were not out in the top of my head. This was the only portion where they were out. They were still in. And I really wanted to go to this party. So I popped on this turban. And I go to this party and I'm just like the talk of the town. People are talking to me about this turban. And I was like, you know what? People like accessories, whether we're recession proof or in a recession, people like buying accessories. So I got on this mission to make these turbans. And before I was a tie-dye queen, and that became complicated because it's inconsistent and I wanted to wholesale. So I was into tie-dye and denim turbans. And people were like, oh, what is that? I'm like, tie-dye and denim. People want tie-dye and denim. And then the turbans everything was black. And we went through fringe and wraps and throws that I would customize. And then I decided, as one of my sorors told me, maybe you should put some color in if you want to appeal to a diverse group of people. And fast forwarding, I would constantly bump into these yoga people who would be like, oh, we really like this turban. And they always wanted a custom item and they always wanted it white. And that's the one color I didn't make. So I think maybe over the course of 2 years, I kept meeting these yoga people and they were like, I really think you should stop by this yoga studio or go to this shop. I think they'd love it. And I started this journey of selling to the yoga world. And I finally met some of the studio owners and there my life changed. I sold to some of the top yoga studios around the country, retreat centers, wellness centers, and the trajectory of my entire life changed because my customers would invite me to yoga class because they owned the studios or they were having a workshop and I know what sound baths and all of this was. And I went to Bring a Friend Friday at Golden Bridge and I liked it. I was like, oh, that was fun. That's yoga. That's what I thought. And then I went to Venice to Rama and I was selling turbans and I started going to class every day. And I watched my life change and I watched community being built around me and being involved in these activities. And at first, no one knew who I was because I wasn't on my website, was just selling. And then I made it my mission the next year in the business of wholesaling to the wellness industry that I would become present and let people know who I am and actually what is this stuff that these people are taking my products to? Like, what are they doing? And so there opened up a whole nother world to go to like yoga festivals in the summertime and music festivals and and actually meet the customers in person. It was really fun. And then I found a niche for a few things that were missing, which was like white leggings or like stylish capris and breathable tank tops and things that that were not like you couldn't see through was missing. So I started making bamboo leggings, which were ivory, machine washable, organic, natural fibers. And my customers introduced me to repurposing, recyclables, cotton, organic. I would say, pushed me into that direction because it wasn't something I was conscious of. So then we became this conscious brand, right? Because I was only making white cottons and then bamboo cotton blend and bamboo clothes. So the leggings took off into their own world and it was just an add-on. And we did that for like 3 years. And we also made vegetable dye bamboo leggings, tank tops, dresses, wraps, throws. And then it was really expensive and I couldn't figure out a way to lessen the cost without compromising the integrity and quality of the product. So it's always in class and rushing to an appointment. We'd start getting way more popular and more well known. And I remember I had to go to UCLA to sell to the oncology department. And I was like, wow, I got to rush out of class. And I'm always like each day prepared. I'm dressed and then I have a bag. It's just weird a yoga class to have a change of clothes bag. And what's the busiest place in the yoga studio? Do you know what the busiest place is in the yoga studio? After class, the restroom. The majority of people in yoga are women. So there's always a long line of women waiting. And so I would always have to wear things on the day of the meetings that I have to decide if I'm going to leave class early, which I didn't like to do. I don't feel like you're complete when you leave early. Or I have to rush out and go immediately to the restroom, like change my clothes and then come out. So the Luxe Lounge collection was born out of my desire to have clothing that I could wear straight out of the studio, like from the mat into the world concept. So one thing I notice is that every time you're doing meditation, if you've been doing movement, when you get to meditation, your body temperature trying to readjust itself, right? Your blood sugar drops a little and you're kind of chilly, right? Because you're coming down. And so the first thing I made was the wrap. It's called the meditation wrap. And then the next thing I made was a jumpsuit that I could slide into over my yoga clothes. if I wanted to. Like if I had this on, I could wear it to yoga class and practice in it, or it could fit in my yoga bag and I could put this on without going into the ladies' room if I needed to. And then we have the Burt dress, which is a Miu style dress that you just literally slide on top of your head. You slide into it and you're ready. So it's all about being ready after yoga class or wearing something that serves you in every part of your life, right? Whether I'm running errands, I'm doing yoga, or I'm just simply having coffee. This is something I can wear. I'm comfortable. It is easy. It flows. It's natural. It's breathable. So, what I noticed about breathable fabrics and in my search for sourcing them, because I do design and manufacture all the products in downtown Los Angeles. So, in sourcing fabrics became a big deal before it was trendy. I was doing this. And like where I get it from, where is it made? Where is this cotton coming from? Is it recyclable? Because we have this major issue in the fashion industry, fast fashion, that a lot of people are talking about now. Fast fashion and where we have so many clothes. I don't think people realize how many clothes we have that are not utilized. They're not used. Every brand and company that's manufacturing has overstock or dead stock, whether it's a fabric company or a design house. And that's how you're invited to like these sample sales. And you'll go somewhere and there's these discounted racks of clothes, right? But what happens to all the stuff that's in the warehouses? And all the stuff that was tossed, like samples upon samples that are made that they didn't utilize, they're shipped away. They're put in dumps, to melt because when it's not natural, it's not decomposing. Okay. The other thing is when it's not natural and it's on your body, which a lot of my customers, when they would tell me like the term was like, is it breathable, Venus? What did it come from? Are you sure this is cotton? Are you sure this is this? And so, it was a burn test in the fabric store before buying it. Even when they tell me this is what it is, there's the cotton advertisement, the fabric of our lives, and that company that specifically makes natural fiber organic cotton for our underwear and socks is an established company. We have a lot more brands like that, but you don't breathe. The chemicals absorb into your body, into your bloodstream. And when you have on clothes that are not breathable in yoga, I found this highly noticeable because the last thing you want is a wardrobe malfunction or something you can't breathe in when you're doing a sacred practice and you're moving, right? So, like, breathable clothes was huge for me because before I was a yogi, I just wore cute yoga clothes that are very dysfunctional. They are not for the studio, they're for to walk around and say I look like I do yoga. But serious yogis or serious meditators, if you notice, meditators always have on loose clothes. It's usually natural. You can move, you can flow because the last thing you want to think about are your clothes. And when you're teaching, you want very functional, comfortable, breathable things that move with you, that there's nothing falling or dropping out, in clothes. Like you want things, you need practicality and you need comfort, right? And so what I noticed is that I had the way I started making those leggings that I didn't say is that I went and bought all these fashionable designer brands and they were uncomfortable and I was feeling weird in my skin when I first started practicing. And the leggings before were rolling off of me. They were sliding down while I was in class. It's like, what is going on? I just spent $100 on these leggings. Why aren't they staying up? It was the cut and it was the fabric. And that inspired that whole activewear collection that I did. I made high-waisted yoga pants. I made wide bands. I cut the gusset, which is in the center of the legging. I made it all cotton, so it's even more breathable. I made long, I made short, so that people had options of fit. These are all things that were like revolutionary that did not exist, believe it or not, 10 years ago. Like this market of wellness and activewear became a huge thing. I was a contributing writer for LA Yoga Magazine, and we would go to all the activewear shows and shop the brands, and then I would style them for the covers, and then we would feature products and why, if, what, when, and why you would want to purchase this. And I learned so much about product and activewear. And now it's like a part of our lifestyle, like it's not new. But the Lux Lounge collection, which we're relaunching, is now it's a Lux Lounge spa. And so the only thing I did was I took the top four sellers and I changed everything into terry cotton. So fall, winter, spring, summer, it's the same. The only thing is you're getting a lightweight terry cotton in the spring, summer, and then fall, winter, you get the heavyweight. And it's mostly natural tones, which is the white, and the ivory is natural cotton color. We're going to do a few like pops of color in there, but keep it really simple. And I aimed it toward the spas because, oh yeah, the second week into COVID, I had already signed up to become a yoga teacher. So I had gone to one training and in Ojai, and then COVID hit, and we are like, are we going? Are we going? Are we meeting? We met one more time, and the rest was online. And that was a very interesting process because no one knew how to do teacher training online. My teacher
Perfect
training
timing
was
there, huh?
online, and we pivoted as a company at that time. The Luxe Lounge collection was supposed to launch officially then, and we did. I just sold whatever I had made and made masks and dresses and turbans to match. But life has changed tremendously as a yoga instructor. I think it's one of the most amazing things I've ever done. And at that time of teacher training, I started teaching private online classes, group classes, hosting sound baths. We eventually became into women's circles. So, SoulCare Wellness is our new wellness company. And SoulCare Wellness was birthed from a very intense 4 years of grief where I lost 7 people in that year. And the traditional things or customary shifts that people experience during grief, when it's trauma, and how is the trauma affecting your psyche, your emotions, and the trauma that gets locked in our bodies, right? The other thing is the reality being actually present and lack of sleep or relatability if you're not getting some type of assistance for yourself in whatever way you feel comfortable. And for me, it's when I found out what my customers really do for a living. Because before, I met you, we talked. I have several customers that are my friends, but I have so many customers that I wasn't aware of their profound services that they offer, which helped me so much, that they would call and check on me and I would do these different practices. Soul Care Wellness is about nurturing the mind, the body, and the spirit. And I took a lot of the practices that helped me during the trauma. And I've since then, this year, I've lost 4 people, and last year, 2 more. Things that I can go to, tools in life. So I always think that Soul Care Wellness, I always say I'm a little tap on the shoulder because our focus is self love, self care, mindful movement, aromatherapy, benefits of sound therapy. I couldn't sleep for the first 2 years without lavender. It's like, I always say during the day, you can fake it till you make it after a certain point. Whether you're working, you put your mind on something and you navigate. But at night, you remember what has happened, the changes and the shifts that have taken place. And lavender was my go to. When I would smell lavender, it would relax me. And oftentimes, cry myself to sleep, but I would have the smell of lavender. Mantra music, meditation, nature sounds is a very much a part of my wellness platform. Right now, I am the wellness director for the National Council of Jewish Women here in Los Angeles. And we have a program that's about to end now. And one of the things that I like to remind the single moms about career momentum is that, with kids, with work, as a partner, I mean, life is full of responsibilities, right? But how are you connecting with yourself again, right? And is that 1 minute, 3 minutes, or 5 minutes? Some people get 30 minutes to an hour. Are you taking your morning walk? Are you taking your afternoon nap? Are you listening to your favorite podcast? How are you inspiring and taking care of yourself? You are your baby, right? No one loves you and takes care of you like you. And if you don't take care of yourself, really in the proper way over a period of time, nothing else happens. You're not present, you don't have the energy, and you may not be healthy enough to continue the things that you've just been doing mindlessly, right? So, like stepping back and checking in with myself and finding out what I like, who I am. I always say, when is the last time you smiled? When's the last time like you had this amazing feeling in your heart where you're like, and I said, this could be a memory from when you were 5. Could have been your wedding day, could have been the honeymoon. It's the last time you saw your best friend or the last time your grandmother baked you your favorite pie. My grandmother loved her baking apple pie and the smile, like, oh my God, I have my apple pie, And I always like come back to that feeling or emotion, right? And I always say, stay there, and that's where we're going to start the meditation from. When is the last time I had that? Because that's your happy space. And so we do these women's circles. I do privates, I do group classes. We're going to start doing retreats. We're going to start off with day retreats. The platform is probably launching in about, I'll give it another 5 to 7 days. Well, you'll be able to log on. Also, one of the things that helped me heal was nourishing myself with nature and foraging herbs. It's like my happy space. Creating smudge bundles is like my happy space. I love lavender, I love rosemary, and I love sage. So whenever I see that, I'm like, me and my little kippers in the back, I'm busy making those, and it makes me so happy because it's so beautiful. It's free, so free. And from beginning to end, you can utilize it, whether you're just looking at it, smelling it fresh or dry. It's something, it's like you get to keep. It's your little delight. And I make essential oils. I started making essential oils to remind myself that it was not the holidays, that my friends and relatives that had transitioned were not here that would normally celebrate holidays with me. And sometimes I did not want to participate. So the way I didn't participate is I taught myself to make essential oils. So I make a lot of lavender oil, a lot of sage oil, and now it's just fun. And I created some kind of like really special face oil for myself. I was like, what did I do? Wait, what was this? And I give it to other people. I'm like, see, look at it, put it on your face. So these are all the things that SoulCare Wellness is about. And I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. I love how consistently it seems you've been able to sort of turn your passions and even your pain into purpose and be very creative about it. I love that it seems like a similar sort of just something that I took from hearing your story is that you didn't necessarily set out to do these things specifically, but were really good at navigating within your field and sort of filling the niche that you were looking for. Like, what is it that I'm looking for right now? And instead of just sitting around or kind of being bummed that it doesn't exist or, searching for it. You just went and created that. And I think that's
Mhm.
really, it's fairly rare. And it's awesome that you've been able to do that. So I love hearing about your journey from Barbie lingerie to where you're at now. That's pretty, that's an awesome amount of growth and quite a leap. We are running out of time here. So I wanted to pivot real quick and just ask, we covered quite a bit, but is there specific topic that you're really passionate about right now at this moment? I know, like you said, you're making a bit of a career shift and sort of creating this new wellness space. So if you want to just chat a little bit more about that or kind of take us through, but essentially, is there something specifically that's been on your mind that you want to raise more awareness about? And if that doesn't really resonate with you, maybe instead, is there an element of what you've learned through your journey or through your self-care? And obviously, it can be very individualized to the person as well. There's a bit of nuance to it. But is there something that the average individual might be able to take from your story to start incorporating into their day to day in order to sort of build this momentum? Um, yeah, and just be a little bit more authentically aligned within themselves, maybe tap into their own creativity or create something that they're passionate about.
Absolutely. One of the things that's really important to me for the self-care wellness is the daily integration and the introduction of wellness to people who don't think about it. Tapping into that group who's like just not conscious of it. They're living their lives, they're doing their thing, and they don't think it's for them. I love teaching introductory to yoga or to meditation because I was that person. I was not interested. I didn't really believe in it, and I didn't know anything about it to believe in it, right? So whenever I have an opportunity, because I've just had that opportunity in this program to reach people in ways they didn't know they could be reached. And also, a lot of times, we pay for these subscriptions, we go to the gym, we're online, we have our Pilates classes, we have all these things that we committed to with our money, but we didn't commit to with our time. right? Utilizing that and reminding you that we go to these classes. What is your takeaway? I'd like to share with people at the end of a class what you can take away with you and do this at home. Like, because you go to the class and you go to the retreat and you go on vacation and then you come back home, right? Okay. And then what, right? So you say, oh, that was amazing. What was amazing about it? What a part of that day retreat or weekend retreat or my vacation or that class or that workshop that I can keep, that I could utilize and create my own practice. I'm not saying you don't still go and participate in these things, because community is amazing, touching and connecting and just connecting with other people. It expands us in so many ways, but creating our own self practice, like, am I doing this practice in the morning? It could just be you looking out the window and having a moment of quiet time, right? Am I dry brushing myself before I get in the shower? You know, um, did I remember to hydrate? Am I drinking my lemon water in the morning? You know, am I doing my morning stretching? What was that? Tools. We're always talking about tools on my wellness platforms. What are my tools for anxiety? What are my tools when I feel stress? What are my tools when I feel fear? Because fear is huge in how it impacts us in every area of our life, our speech, our movement, our faith, our confidence, and how we interact with others when we're fearful. It's a different lens. So, what's my tool for fear? There's so much breath work we can do, like, breath of fire, anxiety, fear, calming and balancing the nervous system. So, I love having tools that we can utilize. It's in my back pocket. I don't have to feel at a loss when I'm here. Like, when I am sleepy, I was telling you earlier, can I go to sleep? I mean, maybe I can't go to sleep for the rest of the day, but can I take a 15-minute nap? You know what I mean? If I know that I get hungry throughout the day, can I start packing a little fruit in my car or taking a power bar, protein bar to work for myself? I'm just talking about tools that we can use. If I know that my back is sore, can I make a conscious decision to have a bath this week? To soak. I know that I'm an overthinker. I don't sleep well because I'm thinking all day about all the things I have to do. I taught my mother this and my nephew, and then I'll be done. So if you know that we have a shortcoming, meaning this is not the best part of me, we all have them. So what? That's what I said at the end. So what? You know, such as life. I'm not perfect. Okay, I don't keep up with all of that, but I'm really good over here with this, right? So I tell my nephew, so if your memory is bad about a lot of things and there are important things that need to take place, what are you doing about it instead of keep forgetting and keep missing out? He was like, I don't know. It was like when you're driving in the morning to work, you can just tell Siri to add it to your calendar when you remember it. This is just a tool, right? This is a tool that's helping me progress and strive and my little transitions in a life be better for me, right? And I set the reminder, this is what I'm doing, you know, or I take a couple of deep breaths and I'm inhaling grace and I'm exhaling success. I'm taking, I need a moment because this is a bit much for me. I felt that way at 2 a.m., so I went on Fiverr. Just so you know, and I signed up for some people, and you know what? It took like 25 minutes. And I go, oh my God, I should have done this last year. People tell you, but just utilizing our tools to make our lives softer.
Definitely. That's hilarious. Also, just like hopping on, now's the time. Yeah, I love that. Essentially, it sounds like what you're saying is rather than throwing all of the things at the wall, being very conscious and intentional with what you do on the day to day.
And maybe if you don't have an answer, you could seek it out. And maybe you can go into a safe place. And also, we have safe boundaries that we create for ourselves that make us still feel good in our skin. And I don't have to answer questions that I'm not comfortable with. I can use my voice and speak up for myself, saying, you know what, I'm not sure about that right now. I prefer not to talk about that. Like, it's okay. It's a safe boundary. And you, at the end of the day, you feel good and not like someone pushed you to do things that you're not comfortable with, which takes us forever to process because, we don't want to admit it to ourselves, and avoidance. So what I've noticed in my life is I've had a lot of avoidance because my emotional capacity to hold a lot of things with the grief had gone down, right? So you just walk away from it. So then you can walk away from it, but it still comes back. So the mindfulness, the intentional living, like what do I want to accomplish for the day? I love Dr. Michael Beckwith because he says, now wake up in the morning and ask yourself before you start making requests and what you would like to put into the universe. It's like a sense of gratitude and asking myself, what do I have? And that takes your mind somewhere else because, I'm present, I'm alive, I'm healthy. And my grandmother always says, I'm in my right mind. Being I'm functioning. I'm grateful for my family. You start doing that, your mind changes. You turn the mantra music on, and it gets you going into this direction when you decide the intentional meditations on Spotify that I listen to. I create daily affirmations all the time. It's a part of something you'll access. And one is I am, I have, I can.
I love that. And just that simple shift can be so powerful.
Mhm.
All right. Well, thank you very much for being on the podcast. We really appreciate the time. And yeah, still absorbing some of that myself. It's hard to make that shift if you're so judgmental. You got to allow yourself the ability to fail because through that failure leads to growth. And yeah, it's hard not to get defensive even with yourself sometimes. So have that grace. But anyhow, I really appreciate it and looking forward to see what you do in the future. I'd love to chat again. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And I'm definitely going to put you on the list and invite you to one of the workshop or one of the meditation sessions. Okay.
Please do. I would love to. I'm in Santa Barbara, so not far away. I would love to come check it out. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much. Have a great rest of your day.
You as well. Thanks.